So I guess 11 months ago, almost a year ago, when I saw the footage, of the murder of George Floyd, I was in the studio, and it was something that brought me to tears watching the murder of George Floyd. And now, 11 months later, less than a year after we saw the horrific cell phone footage, the person responsible, this murder in the full light of day, that in President Biden's words, ripped the blinders off of systemic racism. That fight has a victory. Now, let me say this. Some people are, we get so much more to war. We still have to celebrate the victories as they happen. Just tune in, man. Diamond K in the morning on the all-new radioonfire.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Here on the program, we deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from across the country, emanating from our studios in Baltimore and Atlanta. Show's fun, show is upbeat, but I want to expose what is really happening in this country. Radio on Fire is Black voices giving you the American story. New episodes drop weekdays, 8 a.m., but I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts. In addition to our 8 a.m. program, we drop content throughout the day as news happens. Hit that notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. I took some time to really process yesterday's verdict. I do want to warn people that the conviction of Derek Chauvin does not yet mean there will be peace. We also have to be on the lookout for negative reactions and retaliations from police across the country. We're going to be honest with ourselves. We know that true justice is so much more than one single verdict in a single trial. If that 17-year-old, now 18-year-old, did not pick up her cell phone and tape this horrific murder, it quite frankly could have gone another way. This video evidence was powerful. Initially, the police in Minneapolis put out a statement that the death just happened and, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things, a medical incident. It could have got swept under the rug like so many others. So that's why I want to say we have to be honest with ourselves. True justice, much more than this verdict. But I do want us to celebrate this verdict. Right? The conversation has to be about continuing to apply pressure. The bystanders video that was filmed by the 17-year-old, the eyewitness, one of the eyewitnesses to George Floyd's killing, very important in this verdict. They were given these extraordinary circumstances. It's not always this clear and evident. But Darnella Frazier is the young girl's name. If she did not pull off that phone and videotape the death of George Floyd and upload it to her Facebook page, would we be here right now? How many people are murdered by police and there is no cell phone footage? You just have that police body camera footage that they can put out at will. This is a moment of relief. It is. But this is just the beginning of a long road. We need to understand this to be a moment of transition to change the very nature of policing in this country. Very important. President Joe Biden addressed the nation after the guilty verdict of Derek Chauvin, sending his blessings to George Floyd and his family. But more than that, Biden called for this to be the beginning of the systemic change to put an end to police brutality in America. It's ironic that he's saying these words, but I'll take that. Take that. So, where were you when you heard the verdict? Many people reacting different ways. It was an emotional moment for many people. Of course, the family. Of course, people involved directly in the trial. Of course, for many Americans watching, waiting, hoping. I quite honestly am surprised at the verdict because it could have gone another way. So many times it goes the wrong way. So many times. This one they got right. But there were a lot of things that had to be stacked up in order for this to go the correct way. It's not always going to be like that. It's not always like that. Not always. So, that's the key point. The young lady, Darnella Frazier, we definitely have to raise her up. She, without her footage, I mean, it is just, it would have gone the way that many others have gone. But this is a moment of relief. This is a moment of relief. So in about 8 weeks, we're going to get sentencing. And this is his first offense. So I don't know how that's going to go. This whole thing could be turned another way if his sentencing does not reflect what it should. So many police officers having an interesting reaction. I guess that this was so clear, so obvious, so in people's faces. Baltimore's police commissioner, Michael Harrison, said that we all knew it was wrong. Says that the Chauvin verdict won't affect Baltimore's policing. I don't know if that's a good statement or not. But he shared his thoughts on that, and he said that this is the Baltimore's police commissioner told WBAL, even when you look at the officers in Minneapolis who testified and many officers who watched this would all say the same thing, that was absolutely wrong. I think this does not hurt people who have the desire to have a career in policing, and it doesn't hurt people who are in policing now or make them want to leave policing, because we saw that and we all knew it was wrong. Okay. Sounds good. I hear you. Harrison said that his officers are currently in training under a new program called EPIC. Ethical Policing is Courageous. Harrison says that the program is a peer intervention system that teaches officers how to step in front of their colleague to prevent a bad act. He added that if the officers involved in George Floyd's death had this training, perhaps it could have been prevented. Interesting. I do believe in any good department, it's about training. The commissioner continued teaching implicit bias, cultural sensitivity, teaching about the community, and more. When you teach that and build your culture upon those things, it doesn't matter who's sitting in a car with another person. All of this sounds good and it has to be applied. I hear what he's saying. And, considering the history of policing in Baltimore, those words just sound kind of hollow. Sounds good. It's a different culture. It's about culture. But we can point to so many instances in Baltimore. I mean, Freddie Gray. It's about accountability. So now police want to be accountable? Interesting. The police commissioner has also denied reports that Baltimore's police department is down to 500 officers or that he may have to close 2 precincts. He says that closing stations is absolutely false. That's what he said. Closing stations is absolutely false. There has not been ever a conversation with anyone, with me, about closing a police station. Or maybe they talked to somebody else. We're not 500 officers down, or excuse me, it's down 500 officers. They're not down 500 officers. He says we have 500 fewer officers than we had 10 years ago when we were budgeted for 500 more officers. We have hired more people than we've hired over a 10-year period last year. Man, Harrison could have a future in politics. That was a whole talk around not clear moment. What are you saying? Okay. So word is Police Commissioner Harrison will need to close 2 police districts as of today. Patrol has fallen below 700 sworn officers. This is the Baltimore City FOP. So the FOP said that. Harrison is denying that. Police enter turmoil, whatever that means. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. And fighting amongst each other, that's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. Getting back to Chauvin, he could be sent to prison for decades. Could be sent to prison for less. The verdict has sent jubilation around the country. People flooded the surrounding streets, running through traffic with banners. Cars beat their horns. Floyd family members gathered in Minneapolis for a conference. People could be heard cheering and laughing, some crying, tears of relief. The jury of 6 white and 6 black or multiracial people came back with the verdict after 10 hours of deliberations over 2 days. So the now fired white officer found guilty on all charges: 2nd-degree unintentional murder, 3rd-degree murder, and 2nd-degree manslaughter. His face was covered up by his COVID-19 mask. Little reaction could be seen beyond his eyes. Do you think that he has remorse? That's something that we'll find out. Sentencing coming in 2 months. Most serious charge is up to 40 years. I don't think he's going to get that. His defense attorney, Eric Nelson, all his mouth about what a reasonable officer would do, left the courtroom without a comment. He ain't have nothing to say. I guess all of that foolishness he was talking about during the trial he left in shame. Well, I mean, he's trying to defend the indefensible. the defense attorney, Eric Nelson. So as the judge read or asked jurors if they had reached a verdict, the hush fell over the crowd. When the final guilty verdict was announced, the crowd cheered outside, people hugging, shedding tears. At the very intersection where George Floyd was pinned down, just a very emotional thing. Very emotional thing. So, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison commented, the bystanders at Floyd's slow motion death who raised their voices because they knew that what they were seeing was wrong, and then told the whole world what they saw. Ellison also, during this press conference, read off the names of others killed in encounters with police and said that this has to end. We need true justice. That's not one case. That's social transformation, that no one is beneath the law and no one is above it. Very true. The jurors' identities were kept secret and will not be released until the judge decides it's safe to do so. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that want to talk to any of these members of the jury that want to speak. I for sure would like to hear what they had to say. We have to understand how unusual, how rare it is for police officers to be prosecuted for killing someone on the job. Convictions are extraordinarily rare. Out of the thousands of deadly police shootings in the U.S. since 2005, fewer than 140 officers have been charged with murder or manslaughter. Before yesterday, only 7 were convicted of murder. George Floyd, 46 years old, died, was killed, was murdered May the 25th, 2020, after being arrested on suspicion of passing a counterfeit $20 bill for a pack of cigarettes at a corner store. And of course, we remember in the wake of his death, the demonstrations, the protesting, scattered violence broke out in Minneapolis, around the country, and beyond. So the blue wall of silence that often protects police officers accused of wrongdoing crumbled in this case. The Minneapolis police chief quickly called it murder and fired all 4 officers. The city reached a staggering $27 million settlement with Floyd's family as the jury selection was underway. So, where do we go from here? In regards to policing, in regards to that, where do we go from here? What happens next? There has been relief. There's relief after this verdict. Definitely. But guilty on all 3 counts. That is, it brings a sense of relief, right? Sense of accountability. But what is next? I mean, I'm hopeful that these protests and the sustained outcry over George Floyd's death shows the potential of change in policing. But laws have to change. Laws have to change. The verdict, will it change anything? It will make everyone aware that we're watching you. It will make people even more vigilant to pick up their cell phones and tape officers' interactions, even more than already. I don't think that that's going to fade anytime soon. This is a step in the right direction. I feel positive about this, but it's really hard to feel victorious. It's hard to feel victorious, even though this verdict gives hope. It gives hope. But it is still a lot more that needs to happen. Just tuning in, Diamond K in the morning on the all new radioonfire.com. Diamond K in the morning is available on the WRF Radio app. Simply download WRF Radio in your app store. Leave me a comment. Scroll your timeline, attend a Zoom meeting on mute, do some online shopping, send an email, all while listening to Diamond K in the morning. You can do that on the WRF Radio app. And I definitely encourage you to download that app. Weekly lineup. They got a lot of things going on over there. DJ Cornbread does the midday mix. Morgan Brittany hosts the top 10 at 10 countdown. A lot of things going on. Check them out over there. And as I said, you can hear Diamond K in the morning there. You can also listen Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search Diamond K in the morning. Get breaking news, adult conversations covering topics that are important to Black culture. Visit radioonfire.com for our original podcast and TV programs. Man. Police killed Ma'Khia Bryant, 16 years old, who attacked two with a knife. The fatal police shooting of Ma'Khia Bryant, seen on video charging at two people with a knife, came within minutes of the George Floyd verdict in his murder. It caused outrage by some over the continued use of lethal force by Columbus police. Officials with the Columbus Division of Police released this footage of the shooting last night, just hours after it happened. Department did something different than normal. This is a departure from their normal protocol as forces face scrutiny from the public following a series of high-profile police killings that have led to clashes. So they did this step, I guess, an attempt at transparency. The girl was identified by Franklin County Children's Services, which said in a release that the 16-year-old Bryant was under the care of the agency at the time of her death. So there's a 10-second clip, and it begins with an officer getting out of his car at a house where police had been dispatched after someone called 911 saying that they were being physically threatened. So I mean, it's just, you hate to see situations like this. The officer goes forward towards a group of people in a driveway when Brian starts swinging a knife wildly at another girl, woman. She falls back. The officer shouts several times for her to get down. Brian then charges at another girl who's pinned against a car. So from a few feet away with people on either side of him. Let me say this again. A few feet away, surrounded by people, the officer fires 4 shots and Bryant slumps to the ground. A black-handled blade, looked like a kitchen knife or a steak knife, lies on the sidewalk next to her. So a man immediately yells at the officer, "You didn't have to shoot her. She's just a kid." Now, if that had been a little white girl, he wouldn't have shot her. Not like that. No. The race of the officer was not clear, and he was taken off patrolling the streets, or has been taken off patrolling the streets for the time being. She was taken to a hospital, talking about Bryant, taken to a hospital, pronounced dead. Unclear if anyone else was injured. I'm not sure how it wasn't possible. So based on the footage, the officer took action to protect another young lady. The mayor, Andrew Ginther, told reporters this. In a eerie twist of fate, the shooting happened about 25 minutes before the judge read the verdict in the Derek Chauvin case. About 25 minutes before. So less than 3 weeks before this, there was a killing. Deputy Franklin County fatally shot a 23-year-old in Columbus. That's under investigation. Yesterday's fatal encounter took place less than 5 miles from where the funeral for Andre Hill, who was killed by another Columbus police officer in December, was held earlier this year. The officer in Hill's case, Adam Coy, is a 19-year veteran, now facing trial for murder, with the next hearing scheduled for April the 28th. Oh no, I'm not done. Last week, Columbus police shot and killed a man who was in a hospital emergency room with a gun on him. Officials are investigating that shooting. Kimberly Shepard, 50 years old, who has lived in the neighborhood where Tuesday's shooting took place for 17 years, said that she knew the teenage victim, Bryant. She said that the neighborhood has gone through changes, but nothing like this. This is the worst thing that has ever happened out here, and unfortunately, it is at the hands of the police, she said. Said that they were happy about the verdict. One of the neighbors, but you couldn't even enjoy that because you're getting a phone call that he was guilty, and then you're getting another phone call that this happened in your neighborhood. Yeah, it is wild times that we live in. Wild times. If you want to support Diamond K in the morning, very easy to do that. I'm able to deliver our news and our views because of our listeners, sponsors, and of course your donations. Diamond K in the morning is powered by the people, and we need your support. You can make a one-time donation or join Radio on Fire's VIP club, radioonfire.com/join. On social media, I'm at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. And in our efforts to continue to support entrepreneurship and independent businesses, we are going to be highlighting some small business owners. Go to Instagram.com/The Diamond K Show. DM me any IG pages of businesses that you think we should spotlight. We're going to be spotlighting businesses, as I said, in the upcoming weeks for the rest of this year. Spotlighting businesses. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break and come back with more of the program after this. Your man Diamond K, RadioOnFire.com, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire, Diamond K in the morning. And we've been talking about the George Floyd verdict. Talking about that. And we talked about the video of the police officer that killed the young girl holding a knife, threatening others. Ma'Khia Bryant. Sad situation there. And just talking about some of the other killings. So with the guilty verdict, which we are happy about, encouraged, but we need real reform. We need laws to be changed, and we continue to have the need for these officers to be held accountable for their actions and not hide behind qualified immunity, which is something that we've seen happen for so long. But yesterday was hopefully a new day. But I don't want us to be under any false pretenses that this one verdict changes everything. It is just a move in the right direction. One step. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. You want to continue to support us, radioonfire.com/join. So I will be back here later on today with more news, more views. Stay tuned, y'all.